What's up, this is Ryan here, and today we're going to be finally finishing off the RecyclerView tutorial. I do plan on redoing this tutorial series completely down the road, but for now this will kind of just cap things off. So a couple things before I get into the demo. First off, I apologize that this video is probably quite a bit later than most people would have liked. Basically the reason for that is I've been super busy releasing and doing all the marketing kind of crap for an app that I just recently released. And also, even though I felt like this was an animation that the Android team really marketed, I had a hell of a time figuring out which API I was supposed to use to actually perform this animation. And when I finally figured out which sort of part of the Android developer guides actually talked about this animation in particular, it took me a while to get it to work and figure out the finer nuances of it, and I'm still not 100% happy with it, as we'll see. But anyways, let's just jump into the demo. So I do apologize about that, but that's kind of just the way it is. So as you can see, I'll just try clicking on one of the items here, and as you can see, it animates into the new image view. And also the text view animates as well. So I'm just going to pause for a moment here and talk about a couple of things. For starters, the animation isn't as smooth as I would like, and I'm not entirely sure if that's really something that's configurable or not. But basically what's going on is, I'll just kind of replay the demo. At a certain point, I just want you to pay attention to when the demo animates the icon into the new activity and back into the list activity, and you'll see that it's kind of a little bit choppy, more specifically there. So it's only an issue if you're really paying attention, but it's just something that I'm not super happy about, and if I figure out a way to fix that, then I will make sort of an extra video, but for the time being that's really all I could come up with. Also, you'll notice that, and this was actually in the developer guide, there is a little bit of an issue with resizing text views on the animation. I'll just play it one more time here. Oh, come on, work with me. Okay, here we go. So it's, again, the text animation is a little bit choppy. Anyways, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time going over this, but this is basically what we're going to be building today. Obviously, it'll look a lot nicer if you're not just using like plain text and an ugly icon, but this should give you guys kind of an idea of what you need to do to get the shared element transitions working, and so hopefully it'll help you guys out. Anyways, let's hop into the code. Okay, welcome back. So we'll be continuing on code-wise from part 5a, but one thing I have changed since then is I've updated the compile SDK version to 24, the target SDK version to 24, and also updated my libs down here to reflect that change. Also, I think I updated the build tools version to 23.0.3. You probably don't have to make these changes, but might as well if you've got the time. So the first thing we'll do is we need to make some changes to our styles.xml and also create a version-specific styles.xml file. First off, open up styles.xml, the normal one, and we'll just make a quick change here. Sorry, let me find my place. So what we'll do is we basically need to create a scenario where we have our styles sort of inheriting properly. So I have sort of a blank application theme here called app_theme, and then which inherits from app_theme.base, and the default app theme for our application is app_theme. So what we'll do next is head down to Values, right-click, go to New Values Resource File. Again, it'll be called styles.xml, except for this one, we're going to set the version to API 21, just like that. And then in the API 21 version, we're just going to, again, inherit from app_theme.base, and the app theme will be called app_theme. But we'll also set window content transitions equal to true. So what this is saying is that whenever we have a device which is API v21 or higher, and that's the Android API, then enable window content transitions. The reason for this is that transitions aren't really compatible with earlier APIs without using a special library, and so that's kind of why we're working with that. I'm pretty sure that's the case, although I did see that Android has come out with an android.support.transitions library, but for the life of me, I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted it to, so for now, this only works on V21 or higher. Anyways, let's move on. Go ahead and open up strings.xml. We can go ahead and close that down. And what we'll do is we'll just add a couple of strings in here. And these strings, basically what they are, is they will become the values of an attribute called transition name for each view. What I'll do is I'll just hop into the XML and we'll explain them further, but this is where the attribute names are coming from. So go ahead and open up activity detail. And I'm not going to type everything out, I'll just copy and paste it in because the changes are really minimal and it's not worth wasting your time otherwise. So all I've done, for me this is going to have to say derp demo, but for you derp list should work fine. I apologize about that. I always build the application with 2 different versions, and unfortunately I went ahead and built the version which I'm supposed to be editing during the actual video, and then which means that I'm working from my demo of the video. Blah blah blah. It doesn't really matter for you. This will say derp list. Anyways, all I've done is I've added an image view, just sort of to the top of the screen, and each view within this activity has a transition name set. Now this transition name is going to correspond to the views in listitem.xml. So go ahead and open up listitem.xml. And again, I'm just going to copy and paste this in here. And we'll go over the... Oops, shit. And then we'll go into the important stuff. Okay. Alright, so in listitem.xml, basically all I've done here is for every view in here, except for this secondary icon which we won't bother animating, I have set a transition name. Now if you notice, for the image view in listitem.xml, the transition name is @string transition image. If we go back to activity detail, for image view, again the transition name is transition image. And then for each of these text views, I won't go back and forth through all of them, but we have transition quote and transition attribution, and that will reflect the same thing in listitem.xml. Basically what the transition name does is it sort of tells our app that these are the views that we want to translate to and from, and it's basically going to handle a whole bunch of annoying logic on its own just by specifying this transition name. So yeah, that's basically all we need to do with our views. We need to make some slight adjustments to our derp data and derp adapter classes. We'll start with derp adapter. So our interface method needs to now say view v, and I'll get into why that's important when we actually get to the activity, but in the interface on item click method, add view v here. Head down to the view holder, or the derp holder class, and down in on item click we'll just say v, comma, get adapter position, and that's all we need to change there. This basically just means that when someone clicks on a RecyclerView item, we're not just going to pass the position of that item in the RecyclerView's adapter, we're also going to pass that view holder itself, or that view itself, I should say. The other thing we need to do is open up derp data here, and this is kind of a goof from earlier. I didn't need to set the icon res ID, so I didn't bother doing that, but in getListData, just type item.set image res ID icon. Remember, icon is coming from up here, and that's just a res ID for that tonality icon. And then also down here, type item.set icon. Why does that say title? Wow, I just discovered another goof. That's supposed to say set subtitle. Whatever. Set icon res ID. Why are you not? There we go. Set image res ID. Sorry about that. And that's all the changes we need to make. So set the image res ID in both of these methods. We don't really need to worry too much about the get random list item, but just to make sure our code's working properly, go ahead and do that. Alright, so we've got our adapter working, all the layouts and that crap, so we're going to head into the activities, and that's where we'll kind of finish things up. Let me just clear this clutter up. Okay, so open up detail activity and list activity. So as you can see, our list activity is lit up like a Christmas tree, and that's because we've changed the onItemClick method that we override. So in the parameters for this method, type view v, and that'll clean that up. Head up to the top of this method, this activity, and just type, actually I'll just copy and paste it in because it's long ass. By the way, you've probably figured this out by now, but all of this code is available on the blog post, so I'd highly suggest you go there and copy and paste this stuff in instead of typing it out. It's kind of a waste of time otherwise. So we've added another static final string here, which is extra image resID. And the reason why we did that is we're going to be passing the resID via intent bundle to the new activity, or to detail activity. And I'm just going to copy and paste a little bit of stuff in here. Just give me one moment. Okay. So, I've made some changes. We're going to need to import this pair thing. I'll explain what that is in a minute. We can use the support library, I think is fine. Okay, so what are the changes? So, compared to the old method, we've added a new extra, which is the image resID. And this is why we had to go back in derp data and specify that image resID. So that's really that's a primary change there. Then the only other thing we've changed is we've added in a bit of logic here. So what this is saying is that if the build version is greater than or equal to Lollipop or API 21 or higher, then we get to perform our fancy transitions. If this is not the case, we just start the activity normally down here. So what's going on with this stuff? We have getWindow.setEnterTransition. I kind of goofed up, and that's supposed to say getWindow.setExit transition. I'll make sure I make that change in the code itself. Out. So we'll just add that change in here. But that's not really the important part. The important part is down here in this method, ActivityOptionsCompat.MakeSceneTransitionAnimation. So what we've done here is this method is capable of accepting sort of a special array here of pairs. So each pair corresponds with the first we pass in the view, which is sort of the view that we're animating from. So in this case we have the icon, the item text, and the item subtitle, and these are all contained within our list item layout. So that's why we're passing v in. We call v.findViewById to get that. And then we also pass in the transition name, which is of course shared between the list item and the activity itself. So that's basically all these pairs do. And then this will take care of animating, of performing the various animations that sort of transition those two views, which is like change bounds and a couple other things like that, which I can't remember off the top of my head. So that's basically all we need to do here in list activity. The last thing we'll need to do is open up detail activity, and we'll add that. I'll just copy and paste that extra static string here. Just add that in, and then the only other thing we need to do is set the image views resID. So we pass in the new resID via bundle, which is getInt extra image resID, and we call the set image drawable on that, and then that should work. So that's everything for this tutorial. I do plan on redoing this tutorial series completely about the Recycler view, because it's kind of my first kick at the can for making a big series like this, and it's kind of sloppy, but that probably won't happen for a couple of months. So hopefully by that time we'll be able to have these transitions working on earlier APIs, but for the time being it looks like this is really only available for API 21 or higher. So that's all for now. I won't bother with the demo because we saw it in the beginning, but you should be able to compile this and test it out and see if it works. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.